and prokaryote. So this is a very good summary here. Asexual reproduction, you need one parent, no genetic variation, because as I told you, there is a mitosis, so all the daughter cell or granddaughter cell, they're genetically identical with the parent, is the same. Lower organism. I personally don't like to use the word lower organism. I'll say primitive, more primitive organism. I prefer to use the word primitive. Lower is like well, it's like there's some kind of class, it's like, okay, there's some kind of higher or lower, it's like there's some kind of class. I prefer the word primitive. Primitive, it tells you about the history. Lower is like, okay, well, it's just a matter of personal style. Lower, many biologists use the word lower and higher, so it's okay, but personally I prefer to use primitive, so that people won't accuse me for discriminating certain organism. Yeah, so primitive, it has the word primitive relate to the time of development, history of the development, and quicker time period. Yes, this is I would say the biggest advantage. Quicker period. Reproduction, use asexual reproduction is a very fast process. The daughters have mature fast. Also, the duration of the reproduction, the asexual reproduction, that means the mitosis is also very fast. So the duration of reproduction is fast, and the maturation is also fast. So it is quicker time. So that's why asexual reproduction. Try to imagine a bacteria growing in your body. It is very fast. For the sexual reproduction, you need two parents. At least they must be opposite gender. Because you need two parents. They can be from totally different genetic background. Then it gives you genetic variation. Genetic variation is very important for survival. We kind of cover it during the evolution. They're more complex organism, or I would say more complex. That is a better way to do it. It is more neutral, more complex. Yeah, or you may call it advanced, or modern. Modern is a better word. Also related to the time. I think complex is fine. Complex is a scientific term, neutral, and it describes the structure. So modern is modern or complex. Slower time, yeah, that's the disadvantage. Slower. Well, as you know, that for human being it takes us 9 months for pregnancy, and then it takes us at least 18 years to raise the kids, so that we will send him or her to the college, and even after they graduate from college, they have to come back to live with us, because of boomering generation. They couldn't find a job, so they come back to live with the parents. So, but the similarity is that they all produce offspring. Okay, that's why you call it reproduction. Offspring, they will grow and develop. Okay, this is through another mitosis. And after they become mature, they also use DNA to create new life. So we pass on our gene to our offspring, and then our offspring will pass on their gene to their offspring, so that and their gene contains part of our gene. So that's the whole purpose of reproduction, to pass on our gene. Why? Because if we can live to become adult, that means our gene give us some successful trait, to survive, then we should pass on the successful trait to our offspring. So human reproduction, okay. Sexual organ form in embryos. Yes, when we are pregnant, when mothers are pregnant with the embryo, they already develop the sexual organs. For example, women make all their eggs, we call it primordial eggs, in embryonic stage. As soon as the baby girl is born, then the baby girl will stop making eggs. So baby girls are born with a fixed number of eggs. Unlike male, we make fresh sperm, throughout our lifetime after puberty. So that's the differences. It sounds very unfair, but yeah, that's what nature did to us. So yes, we develop at puberty. So women get their menarche, or the first menses, we call it menarche, during puberty. I heard that now the first menarche is roughly around 10 years old in the US, but I heard that there are more and more cases that girl, they get their first menarche under the age of 10. Probably it's due to the consumption of GMO, genetically modified organism. A lot of the food that we buy from a supermarket, they are genetically modified, or they have hormone in it that speed up the maturation of our children. So yeah, that's why our children, they become mature earlier and earlier. Sorry about that. So it's active during reproductive part of the life. Yes. Generally, it's well, let's put it this way. Since 18, well, of course, many of the high school kids, they are sexually active before 18, but theoretically it should be starting from 18 until maybe for menopause for women is around 50 years old, 51 or 50s, yeah. So it's around early to mid 50s for women. For men, we are sexually active, it can last for a lifetime, okay. And then atrophy after menopause, yes, menopause is a big thing. Reduction in sperm, yes. So the differences between men and women is that after menopause, women, they stop making eggs, so stop the ovulation. But for men, this is just a decrease in the sperm production. Men still make sperm at old age, it's just a lot less. So I already gave you the endocrine pathway for the reproductive pathway. So this is our brain, this is the hypothalamus, and this is a pituitary gland. So as you can see, the hypothalamus is on top of the end-pit. Pituitary glands, it has two parts. One is called anterior, one is called posterior. The one that is so-called in the front is called anterior. I call it end-pit, anterior pituitary. So the endocrine pathway for the reproductive hormone I already gave you is from hypothalamus to end-pit, anterior pituitary. And then from end-pit, it goes to our gonads, ovary or testes. So let's start with the male reproductive system. Okay, male reproductive system. If you are gonna take anatomy, then you need to memorize the entire picture. As a matter of fact, you need to memorize more than, when you take anatomy, you have more than this label. You have more than this label for you to memorize. For example, this picture did not label this gland. This gland is called bubourethral gland. It's called bubourethral glands, aka cow's paw gland. Cow's paw gland. Cow's paw glands. It is seminal vesicles, prostate glands, and this bubourethral glands. These three glands produce semen. Yeah, these three glands produce semen. Anyway, if you are not taking anatomy, I will not test you the labeling in the final exam, okay? But if you are taking anatomy, let's say in winter or in spring, you better memorize it now, so that when you are taking anatomy, you have less material to memorize. And then external genitalia is mainly your penis and scrotum. So you know scrotum is here, you know what penis is, hopefully, I hope you know, okay. And the foreskin, okay, foreskin is this part here. If it's removed, okay, circumcision, okay, if you are Jewish, or even if you are not Jewish, you may know about circumcision, okay. After you remove the foreskin, the glands will be exposed, okay. Okay, erection during sexual arousal, okay, I think everyone knows, okay. Okay, internal genitalia. So sperm and urine pass through the same urethra, yes. Some of you may find it disgusting, but the truth is that the urine that we produce in our body, they are actually sterile. Yes, because the urine produced in our body is the filtrate from our blood. So unless the person is ill, or unless the person has STD, or unless the person has bacterial infection, then the urine should be sterile, theoretically. So and then exit through urethral opening. Sphincter blocks the bladder and prevent urine and that's a sphincter blocks the bladder, prevent urine and sperm mix. Meaning that theoretically, okay, when you are peeing, you cannot ejaculate, and when you are ejaculating, theoretically you cannot pee. The main reason is that when you are ejaculating, you are erecting. When you are erecting, this sphincter is closed for the bladder. So theoretically, but I heard some of my friends told me that while they're erecting, they can still pee. So yeah, so don't worry, theoretically the sphincter separate the urine and sperm. You cannot do both at the same time. Okay, see, it has the bubourethral gland here. So the textbook picture has more label. I would say it's more or less, well, your anatomy should have more label, especially during around this part. You have some kind of smooth muscle here that you need to memorize, and then this is the so-called anterior view. This one is the anterior view. This is the mid-sagittal section. This is the mid-sagittal section. Yes, this is the anterior. We call it, no, we don't call it anterior. We call it we call this coronal. We call it either frontal view or coronal. Coronal is like a crown, or coronal view, coronal section. So you can see the urethra coming out from the urinary bladder. The urethra coming out from the urinary bladder, and then you see the relative position of the seminal vesicle with the urethra and the prostate gland position relative to the urinary bladder. Prostate gland is right under or posterior to the urinary bladder. And then you have bubourethral gland, aka Cowsper gland. Vas deferens is the old name. Newer textbook they call it a sperm duct or something like that. Urethra is where both the urine and the sperm go through this urethra. So internal genitalia, genital tract, sperm are produced